Does your content sometimes get a good response and sometimes doesn't? But either way, no matter what you do, clients don't seem to be buying from it. If so, I think you'll really enjoy this call with Kathy that I'm about to share with you. Now, this is one of my hot seats from my high-end mentorship, where every 2 weeks what I do is I bring in 4 different people on and we spend 15 minutes diving deep into their own business. Now, Kathy has begun to tell her story really well, but she hasn't really dialed in on it. And this was a really special call. There were actually some tears as part of it, myself included, though I'll never admit that. I'm just going to keep saying that it was a little bit of sweat from my eyeballs being in Mexico. But Kathy went really deep. And I'm happy that she allowed us to go really deep with us into why it matters, into what she's trying to help people through, and into her own story. And I think you'll notice that by the end of it, you've connected with Kathy as well. And it's really important for the story that Kathy has to come out in her content more, and that comes down to the details, and that's a lot of what we explore. I really think that you're going to enjoy this call and listening to it. And I really think it was a special one. Enjoy. Real quick, kind of who you are, who you serve, and what you'd like to talk to today. You can unmute yourself here.
Cool.
There you go. Oh, you already did it. Look at it. Look, everybody's way more technologically competent than I am. This is great.
Ready to go.
All right.
It's weird introducing myself as Catherine. Sorry, my name on Zoom is Catherine.
Katie, it's cool. We go with Katie.
Katie. Okay. So I'm Katie. I have been an athlete. Well, I grew up an athlete, swam in college, continued on kind of with that, and then now have kind of turned into like, CrossFit athlete. Had a baby, and went through like my whole postpartum journey, knowing what to do health and fitness wise. And I know a lot of women don't know what to do to better provide for their bodies and their baby's body. So that's my avatar, and kind of what I look for is moms who need help in that postpartum kind of journey, but it's not like super I'm not specific to postpartum. I'm more specific to moms who were once athletes, like athletic moms who are rebuilding.
Oh, interesting.
Back to their best self, essentially.
Right. So moms who have always prided themselves on their athleticism, they've now had a baby, and they still want to pride themselves on their athleticism.
Yes.
Okay. I like it. Cool.
Okay.
So, what's going on? What are we talking about?
Oh, okay. There's more. I'm trying to get better at consistency with everything. Like I feel like I have gotten better at, consistently DMing people, consistently posting, much better than I was. I feel like I was very like intermittently doing everything rather than kind of what you were just saying to Lauren is like doing one thing well. And I just kind of feel like I'm at a place now where I'm having a lot of conversations, but they're not like following through to anything. Like I don't even think I signed one person up in February, but she was just a nutrition client. It wasn't like a whole package for my whole program. So and that's because she also does CrossFit, so she didn't really need me in that area. She just needed me for nutrition. So yeah.
So your Instagram, first of all, one of the things that I noticed when I was kind of reviewing it beforehand here was that it seems like you are starting to feel more of your own vibe. Like I kind of worked backwards, and I'm like, I can kind of see her like stepping into herself more a little bit. Is that true? Do you feel that as well?
Yeah. So before OTM, I worked with another online fitness business coach, and I was following a lot of what she was doing, and it wasn't resonated with me, and so it was like really hard to like the types of posts that I would put up and stuff were just not me. And ever since I've joined OTM, I've really kind of figured out what I resonate with, which is what my avatar would resonate with too. So yeah, I would say that's pretty accurate, where I'm feeling a little bit more comfortable in that area.
Yeah. I mean, what you said to me, it's interesting looking at your Instagram first off, because it's very clear. I'm on my desktop, so let me actually share again. because it's very clear which types of material gets a good response and which doesn't, right? Like you get pretty good engagement on some stuff, and then other stuff there's just nothing. And it's not that much of a surprise. The stuff where you're empowering, as your name, empowered by Katie, the stuff where you're empowering, you're getting a good response. You wish you could do, what is this? You wish you could do it like a girl, and it's you just like lifting heavy ass weight, like being a boss. And then you're holding a sign that says, stop ass half counting your macros. And
total like spelling mistake there, but yeah.
Well, yeah, I mean, I'm the king of spelling mistakes. Don't worry about that. Don't worry about that, fam. I gotcha. But the same type of thing. Stop sitting on your ass all day. It's like, it's so not targeted. It's something that anybody can say. What's your story? What's the only thing that you can say or you're willing to say? And I feel like you're like 80% of the way there. I failed, therefore I'm successful. Like the my story post is a good one. Obviously the post with you with the kid, but what you said to me about, hey, I was an athlete, that was a part of me. And then I had a child and I worried, I don't know, I'm putting words in your mouth, but then I had a child and I worried that that part of me was over. And I was kind of lost. But it doesn't have to be that way. And nobody told me that before. I was worried, I was lost, but I figured out this path. And now look, I can do all these things and more, and I have a child, and it's amazing, and here's how you can do it too. I don't see that from you, and I put some words in your mouth, but I don't see that from you. Great. So I kind of like, so the way that I think about, and so that's the kind of stuff that's going to get content, and also that's the kind of stuff. This goes into a deeper conversation of content to get clients versus content to pander to the algorithm and just get likes. And they're very different things. And I think they both have their time and place, but there's obvious and there's non-obvious content. A lot of obvious content is stuff that basically anybody can say. And so it feels good to see it and you'll like it, but there's no reason to actually hire that person as a coach if anybody can say that. Then there's stuff that just you can say. It's your story, you own it. And that's the type of thing where if it really connects with somebody, that's where you become the obvious choice for that person. You become the only choice for that person because you've been able to connect with them through that non-obvious content in a way that others really can't. That's like the whole crux of what we really try to nail down in the mentorship. So the way that I look at kind of thinking about this as is a tree, and you basically have like the main base of the tree, and then you're just building off branches of it. Or a better way is just to build like a word cloud. And this is, whenever I do this, it's like a really fun introspective experience. But I also start to get really emotional. And I can tell you straight up, Katie, there are some posts that I've written that I've posted on Instagram, where I tell client stories. I've cried writing some of those. That's when you know you nailed it.
Yeah.
And so, I mean, I don't even know what you would put in the middle of it, but you would be like, how it felt when I felt I couldn't do it anymore. Right? And then you just throw that like kind of in the middle of a piece of paper. If you can see, visual props, always useful in a tiny Zoom meeting. And then you throw that on a piece of paper and you just rip it. And the most important thing, like drawing branches off of it, and just go as deep as you can. And every branch could become another branch and another branch and another branch. And just explore those emotions, because you probably have stories around all of these things. Let's play with it right now. Okay. When I say to you how it felt when I felt like I couldn't do it anymore, what's the first thing that comes to mind?
Fear, scared.
Okay. Where were you?
Well, first thing that comes to mind is finding out that I was pregnant. That wasn't, it was a surprise, right? So, it wasn't the way I thought my life would go, and it wasn't something that I had planned. So that was something that was, I mean, of course, I love my kid more than anything, but it was definitely something that I mentally had to get through because my mind was so wrapped around what I was doing physically with my body and where I was in my life and trying to compete and be an athlete, and kind of found out I like couldn't do that anymore, you know? So
Hmm.
that was, I guess, fear
Where
of what
were
would
you
be
when
like
you
me.
actually found out? Were you at home? Were you somewhere else?
Yeah, I was at home.
Okay. And did you have some inklings? Like, did you have, because I mean, it was your first time having a child. So
Right.
did you just like feel funny and go and get a test? Like what? How did that
Oh
happen?
no. Oh, I slept like all weekend, and that's just like unlike me. So
Okay.
I couldn't keep my eyes open kind of thing, and I was just like exhausted. And my little sister has two kids, so we were
Mm.
talking. She's like, you should probably take a pregnancy test. So that's how I found out I was pregnant.
So you told your sister first.
Yeah.
What did she say?
It's just kind of funny because she wanted me to be pregnant. So she would say anytime something was wrong with me, like my stomach hurts, I don't really feel good, like whatever, she was always like, "You're pregnant." so
Hmm.
so it was just kind of like a running joke with us. But that time she was like, "No, but for real, you might be because of how like abnormal it was for me in that like situation to be really tired and exhausted and like not like borderline not functioning well."
Right. So everybody else here, how do you feel when you just heard what Katie said? You can just throw on your mic if anybody has any thoughts.
Man, that feels like losing your legs as a runner or something, you know. It feels like you went into a hole and you, of course it's a baby, you know. Then you realize, okay, it might be not too bad, but all what, you know, everything in the first moment, you know, you went down, right? So you kind of lost it, kind of thing, you know. So
Hmm.
wow, strong.
Tanisha, you want to say something?
Yeah, Tunisia. For me, it feels like tension. It feels like a world shrinking, right? And a lot of uncertainty and just, yeah, like being uprooted.
Hmm.
Yeah.
So do you see what just happened there? And this
Mhm.
is all a matter of your own comfort,
Yeah.
of course. But I mean, look at the comments in the chat, right? I'm not a mom, but your hot seat has been making me emotional. Sounds heavy. I'm fearful of the same thing, having kids and life changing in a way I'm not ready for. Holy shit. We have very similar stories. I feel recreated by you. This raw, real sharing will attract the mamas you want. Awesome story. Could only imagine how mentally challenged. I mean, on and on and on. I mean, I felt this. This is such a. It's not just. This is what makes the best stories, and this is how to lead from the front. Is when you tell your story in a way like this, you're giving others permission to admit what they feel. And the best stories, I mean, you tell them personally, of course. Your situation is that you were an athlete and you were worried that your perhaps athletic career would be over. But I mean, there's guys in here that have responded similarly. I mean, I can tell you I felt the same way when I found out that Allison was pregnant for the first time. What is this going to mean for all the things that I do that I identify with? It's change. It's change is hard. It's such a global, powerful story, and And I think it's an important one to really explore. I mean, even just the little bit of what you said here. Oh, I mean, but did you see? So the most important thing about this before we move on, and then I'd be happy to kind of dive deeper here. If you want to send me a message afterwards, I'd be happy to do that. Because I know it's hard to like think that you may expose yourself in this way online. It's kind of can be scary. I don't know if it is for you, or it is for me.
Yeah.
But the final thing that I'll say is that kind of process that I just went with you a little bit is powerful, even just for yourself, whether you share it or not, of like, oh, where were you? Who was the first person you spoke to? Was anybody else there? What did you feel? What did you do next? Who did you tell? Right? Who did you not tell? Why did you not tell them? And you just start exploring it that way, and all of a sudden these stories come out, and you're like, every single one of those is something that's just gonna crush it. In terms of just connecting with people. That was super deep. Do you have any feelings to share before we move on?
No, I think it's good. I'm not necessarily, I think my biggest fear with sharing those thoughts is that like I will be taken in the wrong sense of like that I'm not appreciative for my child, or that I'm like taking it for granted, or that I'm not happy about it.
Right.
So I think that's why I haven't really ever shared the thoughts about because my entire pregnancy, like it was perfect in the sense of health, but it wasn't mentally, it was really hard. Like gaining 40 pounds and like, it's like caused me to not want to have a baby again, to the point where I'm like, the only reason I don't want to have another kid is because I don't want to put my body through that again. But my mindset is thus changed. But that's those thoughts make me feel like I'll be judged for that. So I haven't like put that out there in a sense.
So here's, I mean, that's perfectly valid. And even a few more things that you just said there. I mean, everybody else, tell me if you just heard the same thing. You're like, holy crap, there's another story. There's another story. There's another story. Like, we need people to talk about these things because, holy shit. I mean, I'm a guy and I feel these things. I mean, the way that I deal with all of this is I just try to show up with as much honesty as I can. I mean, what you just said, I'm hesitant to share this because I feel like I might be judged in that you might hear this, read this, whatever, and think that I'm not appreciative of what of my child who I love. And that's not true. But this was hard for me to overcome. And I wanted to share it. I mean, I like share that.
Okay.
I mean, even that, even that is powerful to admit.
Yeah. Okay. Thank you.
Yeah. Thanks for letting me go super deep there.
Yeah. I appreciate it.
Hey, John here again. I hope that you really enjoyed listening to that conversation with Kathy. I found it to be really, really special. Now, if you're looking for another episode to turn to right now, I wanted to recommend episode 21 of this podcast. It's called Selling Deep Health Coaching to Clients Who Don't Care Yet. So that's episode 21 of the Obvious Choice podcast. In this episode, you're going to learn how to sell what clients really need, even though they might not know that they need that yet, or they might not necessarily want it yet. If it feels like you're kind of shouting about all of these things that you think that clients should care about, that you know that they really need, but you're not getting the kind of response, this episode is a much deeper dive into that. And people really, really loved it. So that's episode 21, Selling Deep Health Coaching to Clients Who Don't Care Yet. Additionally, if you're interested in learning more about my high-end business mentorship, just pop on over to Instagram. I'm at It's Coach Goodman, and just send me a DM that says mentor, and myself or somebody from my team will get back to you pretty quick. Thanks again. Talk soon.